it and sort of forget about it for a while, then there's no reason why they have to upgrade, and people just assume that they have to.
And that's what I mean by the psychological barrier. Yeah, the sort of, you feel obliged to. I mean, I was running 804 LTS of Ubuntu for quite a while, and I always felt obliged when, certainly when 9 came out, that to upgrade it. But like I said before, when I install Ubuntu on new users' machines, I usually stay a full sort of release, a full year behind the current release. Just for my own peace of mind when I'm putting on other people's machines. But I just thought the whole rolling release was a very good idea, personally. Like my Sabian, it's upgrading its packages individually as it goes along, and it just seems more fluid, and you always know that you're current, and you have to worry about what's the new version going to offer, is there any new issues that have come up, and you get the feeling, it might be just psychological, that it's a more stable, progressive release schedule, doing it as a rolling release. Roy, I don't know if you had any opinions on that.
Have you had any conflicts arising because one of the things you don't have is the resolution of conflicts between things. I've been blogging for about a week and a half now about issues I'm having with Fedora 14 because a version of ImageMagick is conflicting with Octave, which is the latest version. And one of the things you cannot do very easily in Fedora is go back to old versions. And even though I did try to go to old versions and I went through all kinds of trouble to do that, it still conflicts and it causes a lot of trouble. And I currently, when I try to do this type of work, I use Kubuntu 10.04. It's not the latest one, but it doesn't have any issues like that. And today I was trying to install Linux Mint I was trying to test the distribution, and I first tried to put it on 2 very old machines, and none of them would boot the CD for some reason, but there were, in terms of specifications, there were identical machines. But then I tried to virtualize under Fedora the Linux Mint distribution, and I'm still supposed to finish this sometime, maybe today or tomorrow. But what actually happens is you do find that with this trying to aspire to get the very latest of things, in this case Fedora 14, proved to be more problematic than using something that's a version behind, which was tested and had enough time for people to complain about it for it to be fixed. So this is a known issue of a known conflict. I'm just wondering, has anything broken for you in terms of so far?
I'm going to sound like a complete Sabian fanboy, but I've had no issues whatsoever with it. There's been a few things that have been created by my own stupidity, not paying attention, silly little conflicts of my own doing. Had a few issues with Pulse Audio, but then that's part of the territory. But they certainly weren't anything to do with the distribution itself, and more to do with me meddling and fiddling on. They were resolved very quickly. No, there has been nothing. I have noticed a few issues recently with the Emerald Windows decorator, but again, I think that's something that has been of my doing, and not necessarily because of the nature of it being a rolling release.
Still, do you think it's going to be merged into the mainline of? Because that's been around since like 2007, or I think 2007. And that's kind of considered to be a hack. And also in KDE now, in KDE 4.5, there is now a hack which gives you the same kind of glass effect as in Windows Vista or 7, but it's doing it for the entire window. Basically, the entire Windows is in all the regions which aren't quite supposed to be translucent, but that's quite a new thing. And this is also something which will be very experimental. You have to do it outside of the GUI, and you have to install it yourself. I mean, I know Emerald that you mentioned. I know it's I tried to install it before, and I had some issues, and I was kind of worried about breaking the whole graphical kind of module. It was in Mandriva 2008, so I kind of looked at the instruction and I just thought that's kind of risky. And based on what you were telling me, it is kind of problematic, difficult thing to do.
I mean, since we mentioned it, the only issue I've had, and it's only just popped up recently, and it's literally a case of sometimes when I'm playing certain video files, mainly ones that have been taken off my HTC. If I maximize them to full screen and then close it down, I lose my Windows decorations completely. All my Windows borders vanish.
Happens, yeah.
So I have to reload. I have to reload the Windows Manager, which is dead simple. And it's only on some, but this is the annoying thing. It's only on some of the videos from that have been recorded on my HTC phone.
People Earth used to have the same type of issue, and I think they had to remodel the entire software a while ago. It's proprietary, obviously, but it would blow up in my case, usually it would be KWin. And then and KWin is really, as far as I know, it's really hard to restart without restarting the whole of the KDE desktop or the session. You cannot just run KWin and have the thing drawn.
I mean, to be fair, to reload my Windows Manager is just one click. I don't have to reboot, don't have to do anything, and it's a split second, if that. So it's at the moment the only delay on my productivity is the clicking of a button and a couple of milliseconds delay.
Metacity?
Sorry?
Is it Metacity?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure. In KDE, I could never just start the as soon as the since the very old versions, even the early 3 point something. Back then things would blow up more routinely. Once in a few weeks, maybe I'd lose my window decorations and stuff.
But you compare these. I mean, this is one issue, and I think I said before. It's the issues I've had with the Linux operating system pale in comparison to being a Windows. And these things, the issues that I have had are usually aesthetical. They usually last a couple of days until I work out what's wrong, and it's very easy to fix. I mean, the pale in comparison to the issues that a Windows user would get, where the system can be completely hosed. And certainly it's not nothing detrimental to Linux, because I wouldn't continue to use Sabian if there was any problem. And like I say, I've got a horrible feeling that this problem that I've got recently is due to my own fiddling. So I might have to go back and see what I've been doing recently to see if I can't fix it myself.
That's just one of the scary things about if you try to introduce Linux to a user, you probably want to show the user quite a few cool things, though you tend to go a bit beyond what's in the GUI, and then you start showing things, you do things in command line because it's quicker or because it's supposed to be more impressive, but you kind of scare the other person by doing that. So I kind of learned when people approach, you don't really want to show them command line to show them your skills or anything like that. You want to show them that it's all GUI. Even today, I had a friend come over and basically he's watching the screen and he looks at it and he's like, "Is this Linux?" He's asking because he doesn't know it too well, and they think Linux is one operating system. Lots of people think that. At least they know what Linux is, but they think it's one operating system, and then they see a KDE desktop. But they don't see a command line, and they don't see it on the whole stereotype. They see everything very advanced, and then they see the 3D, and they zoom in and zoom out. And, but it's kind of you try to show them you have more power than that. If you try to do things like FTP and trying to open files over FTP and then save it, and he does it in the background, all kinds of very nice productivity features. But you shouldn't show. I have to try and remind myself people don't care about these things. They care about things like web browsers and what it looks like and does it save my files.
Well, I mean,
I was
going to say, back at the original point, as in famous long radio fashion, meanwhile back at the point, of the rolling release or the cycles, I think there's actually a compromise there. I don't think it needs to be one or the other. I think the actual cycle is fine. I have no problem with that. However, I think 6 months is far too short. Possibly a year. Like the 2010 release, 2011. That way you've got a full year for testing and making sure it's all really solid and stable and the bugs are ironed out, and there's lots of time to plan and prepare for the next one, and you're not rushing it out the door because it feels like it is very fast. 6 months does feel very, very fast.
They have to compete with the other distributions, because when I tried to install, the reason I installed Fedora 14 to a certain degree is because that was the latest at the time. It was only days old when I was installing it. And before that, I would probably install something else. And that's because Fedora had the latest KDE, and it had the latest software, and it had the latest kernel. And that was,